interesting insights. First, intelligence is a key for every exercising of military power. If you don't have good, reliable, precise, real-time intelligence, you can have the best F-22 or the best precision weapon. If you don't have targets which the intelligence produce, you will never win a war. Second insight was that most of the intelligence, traditional, conventional dimensions, like human, like Visint, like SIGINT, are in a dead end. The enemy become smarter and better and sophisticated, and using the traditional intelligence efforts basically bears fruit. And then I found that there is a new dimension, which is cyber, which basically replaces all of them in the capability to bring good and rich intelligence, because anybody in the world today that is relevant has a computer, has a cellular phone, and the information there is unlimited. So I become a cyber fan and very quickly discovered that if you did the effort to penetrate to the enemy computer, maybe you are not only extract information, you can even destroy something. So cyber is not only about collection, cyber is also about using power and achieving maybe thing that those F-15s that I was in love at and their bombs, 2,000 pounds bombs, cannot achieve. And at that time, we were, as today, against a very sophisticated enemy called Iran, which calling for the destruction of my country and developing weapons that they can do it, which was a nuclear weapon. And being a veteran of destroying some nuclear programs in the neighborhood, Iraq, Syria, according to international media, I thought, how can it be done in Iran? This is maybe far away for F-15 to go. At that time, the US Air Force was still in Iraq. So we look for a different approach. How you do it in Israel? You called the lieutenant and the captains, 25 years old, 27 years old, and you give them the goal, the objective. They know what you don't know about cyber, and they go for 3 months, 6 months, and they come back, and they give you a solution. You have to make the decision, because there are risks also in cyber, not only in flying F-16. But the idea that you can reach places that airplanes should refuel a couple of times in the speed of light and deliver a payload that can do a physical damage was fascinating. So after working with those who were under my command, my second idea was, let's speak with my bosses. And the chief of defense in Israel has 3 bosses. The Prime Minister, Defense Minister, and Chief of Staff. And if I have one recommendation for you this afternoon, never work for 3 bosses in the same time, because they usually don't like each other. So you go to the meeting, and the 3 of them want you with the uniform, with the wings, to help him make the decision he wants. So at the end of the meeting, you go out, 2 of them hate you, and 1 is unthankful. So the only way, by the way, to survive is to go with your professional judgment, and they have learned that this is what they are getting from me, and that's how I survived for 5 years and never asked for another job from them. So I convinced them that cyber for Israel is like a glove to a hand, because Israel, who doesn't have natural resources, do have wonderful people. And for cyber weapon, you invest much less than buying a new F-22 or F-35. And if you do it in enough projects, you can really create a value of a power that is not going to replace the kinetic attack, but being another source of national power. And basically when I spoke with my bosses, my argument was very simple. You should think about your legacy. Unfortunately, peace cannot be achieved, so your legacy is not going to be peace. This was my assessment as Chief of Intelligence. Unfortunately, I was wrong. I was right. I prefer to be wrong. So peace you cannot achieve. War, not a good idea. All the wars in the last 20 years were not successful. Okay, I can give another lecture why, but it's not the subject today. And the only legacy that you can put on your resume is, I'm the father of cyber power as a national project, Manhattan project in Israel. And they took it. And I'm very glad. I'm very glad. And I guess most of you read the Washington Post op-ed about cyber city in Beersheba. And I think I know where it's coming from. Let's put it this way. So 2007, 2008, Iran, we should stop Iran. And we had at that time 5 strategies to stop Iran. First is agreement, a good agreement, not a problematic agreement. That may be not stopping Iran, but this is another lecture as well. Then, coercive strategy, sanctions, change their mind, change their cost-benefit calculus. Then, Plan C, cyber, clandestine, cover, short of war. Then, Plan D, let the Air Force taking off, and regime change. When I look at it today from 5, 6, 7 years perspective, I think the leaders of our both countries missed a huge opportunity to go and implement Plan C. Because one of them believed in Plan A, one of them believed in Plan D, one in agreement, one in attacking. And if you want to mobilize the cyber forces, which are not, at that time, were not a cyber command in both sides of the ocean, you need the national authority, the commander-in-chief, to be behind and to push the organizations that do in cyber to do it together. So let me share with you a secret. Why Israel is a cyber superpower. And Israel is a cyber superpower. There are not many of them. The conventional wisdom, which is wrong, that cyber is cheap and a teenager in the base or a terrorist in Mosul can destroy a country, can destroy an infrastructure, is wrong. To be a cyber superpower, you need a lot of resources. Manpower, brain, not of one man. Supercomputers, capability to collect, to analyze, and to create the payload. It's not that easy. That's why in this business you have Russia, you have China, you have the US, the UK, Israel, and maybe North Korea. That's it. That's the list. So why Israel is there? IDF should be blamed for it. Israel Defense Forces. And Israel Defense Forces helped Israel to be a cyber superpower. And this is by three things. The human factor, the ecosystem, and the unique culture. And let me go one by one. First, the human factor. The fact that we have a draft and everybody is going to the military give us, according to the national priorities, the capability to channel and to choose and to select the best to the place that we want. When I was 18 years old, the slogan was the best for fighter pilots. Today, we are able to take 1%, the best of the people, to our cyber forces, units, and over there, they are getting a lot of experience. A lot of experience. They know each other, and when they go out to the private sector, their friends are waiting for them. They're ex-commanders. So coming from the military to the private sector is an easy move. So we select the best people, but we also give them a very good training. A very good, unique training on cyber, which is also mathematics, physics, electronics, studying. And they commit for a longer time. So when somebody is commit for a longer time, you can invest in him more. The ecosystem. The ecosystem called Amman. Amman is the military intelligence. And the military intelligence is doing basically what is needed for a good cyber thinking, developing, innovation, and implementation. What you have in the military intelligence. You have SIGINT environment, which give you the thinking of how you operate in this area. The fighter pilot of the cyber command are SIGINT people. It took the US many, many years to understand that the cyber command should be in NSA, not in the Air Force, not in the Navy, not in the Army, not in the strategic command. You cannot be a good cyber warrior if you are not in a SIGINT environment. Second, encryption. Encryption is, you cannot separate encryptions from cyber. And only those who know how to encrypt and today how to break encryptions can be a good cyber developer or cyber innovators. And the experience that they are getting in the military intelligence, in the A200 on inscription, giving them the right way to think when they are going out to the private sector. Less sexy than encryption is production. We have found out that what we are bringing as intelligence from cyber is overwhelming. There's billions of bytes of information that the challenge is moving from collect them to analyze them. And once again, those who were there and developed the software and the mechanism, how to pick the needle from the hay, the piece of gold from a huge sand, they will be a good cyber developer in the private sector. Last but not least, special operation. Special operation in Israel is under the military. By the way, as chief of intelligence, I used to come to Washington, and I had like 16 colleagues here in the intelligence community in America. In Israel, they are all under one man. And one of it was special operation. And special operation is innovation, is daring, is very precise goals and objectives that should be achieved when nobody thinks that they can be achieved, and there are many risks, and you minimize them close to zero. This is special operation thinking. And you are coming to the enemy territory with a very low signature, if at all. This is exactly a cyber attack. And you don't leave traces behind. So all this ecosystem are producing a very capable cyber people in the military and when they continue to the private sector. Last but not least is the culture. Cyber brings the Israeli culture to the extreme. The Israeli culture is not formal. It's not that disciplined. It's illustrating, finding solution in a crazy way, not being so polite. And in the cyber units, in the military, there is a playground that people are allowed to go to the limit of their thinking, of their daring. Because, you know, the chief of intelligence has a formal permission to do what is not allowed to the rest of the people. You know, to listen to cellular phone, to look at your emails, some other things that even going further. And when these young people are getting these permissions, they are going with places that their imagination takes them. And the only consideration is it's allowed to be done only to the enemy, and don't risk your life or your capability that you can do it again. And this once again creates wonderful characters. Then there is the brotherhood, the feel of family. The Israeli military is not too populated, it's not too big. Units are small, everybody knows everybody. And the fact that they can work in an informal, even though they have ranks and uniform, they work in an informal way, helps them very much because this is the culture that they will bring to the private sector later on. The capability to knock on the door of your commander and to talk to him about everything. The debriefing session. The youngest on the team can tell the team leader, you are wrong. your strategy is wrong, the direction of the development here is going nowhere. It's a different culture. It's a culture that encourages innovation, encourage out-of-the-box thinking, and bring a very, very interesting solution. So there is economy, not of scale, economy of small organization, which brings them to proximity, that intimacy that create good results. Then, operational standards. We, from the leadership of the intelligence, we measure them all the time on result. We give them basically an open check. Here is your computers, here is your time, here is your people, but we want to achieve A, B, C, and D. And this is an operational mission, this is intelligence collection mission, and we, in the leadership, test them on the result and on their capability to learn from failure. So I conclude here my secret reveal for you, and I will go to the second part of my presentation for the last 5 minutes. I told you last year that we are writing in the INSS, the National Strategy for Cyber. We have fulfilled our promise, and in the core of this strategy is how to keep the spirit that I just described to you, in the ecosystem, and the culture continuing to be the main boost of the Israeli cyber industry. What I'm seeing in cyber since I left, there are vectors of cyber that become even more formidable. I think collection become even, since people are even more reliant today on their computers, on their cellular phone. There is mines of information in the cloud everywhere. And the capability to bring it home and to analyze it is even bigger. So on collection, cyber have fulfilled the promise. Unfortunately, crime as well. It's not my subject, but I can see it all over. I can see it all over. Where we are maybe not fulfilling in the same logarithmic graph the cyber power is attack. It is there, it is happening, but it seems like something is not in the pace that everybody anticipated. The question is why? And I have a couple of answers to share with you. When you attack in a cyber payload, unlike a kinetic payload, you basically give your payload to them. If your payload is discovered and they basically know what you have done to them, they easily can take it and use it against you. Not easily. They have to work, but you gave them part of the solution. Second, connectivity. When you attack your enemy, let's say you attack a bank somewhere, the connectivity of the bank from the bad guy country to the good guy's countries can destroy your own bank system. So this is a collateral damage, mutual cyber destruction. And maybe this is the strict and limited the attack. Not the criminal attack, but the state-owned cyber power. Because we see wars around. We see war against ISIS, we see war in Syria, we see war in Ukraine, we see war everywhere, and cyber is not deciding war yet. By the way, it took the air power to decide wars between 40 to 80 years. Depends when you start counting and whether the World War II is included or not. So we know that inside, if you compare cyber to air power started 1903 with the Wright brothers. And it was effective in the 40s, and it was decisive in the 80s. Cyber is faster in its development, but we are still maybe in 1915. In 1915, they dropped hand grenades from high-wing airplanes. So it's not, I'm not telling you that cyber power is not there to destroy countries, but I see that there are some limitations that it's not yet materialized. Last but not least, I'm concluding. This Iran deal, it is not, as my Prime Minister said, a new Holocaust. Because Israel is there strong to defend the Jewish people. So it's not a new Holocaust. It is not a good deal, as the President of the US is saying. It's a problematic deal. It's maybe a reasonable deal for the short run, because Iran is going backward 9 months, from being 3 months from the bomb to a year from the bomb. It's not a big achievement, but it is for the short run an achievement. What is the problem with the Iranian deal? That in the long run, not so long, 10, 15 years, believe me, it's go fast. 10, 15 years and the Iranians have the permission, the legitimacy to have a full-scale 2,000, 20,000, 200,000 centrifuges, as much as they like. 5 nuclear reactors, 10 nuclear reactors, 15 nuclear reactors, and they will be 0 distance from a bomb upon decision. Nobody can stop them. And this is not General Yadlin or Bibi Netanyahu. This is Obama saying. So this agreement is reasonable on the short run, very dangerous on the long run. And what we should do is not continue to discuss whether it's a good deal or a bad deal, it's a Holocaust or it's a Nobel Prize. We have to prepare ourselves to 10 or 15 years from now. And 10, 15 years from now, if you prepare for the wrong, nobody knows what will happen, by the way. Nobody knows.